I want to tell you something that most people in this space would never say. Moving abroad didn't fix me. It didn't solve any of my problems. I had all of the same issues, just warmer weather. I moved abroad 10 years ago in search of freedom. What I'd like to report is that I did find freedom, but probably not in the places that I expected I would. So this video isn't only about moving abroad. It is about freedom, but in a different way than you might imagine. It's about how I freed myself on the inside first, and then went about sculpting the kind of life that I desired on the outside as well. I left the UK 10 years ago. I lived in 3 different continents across 20 different countries. Today, I'm going to outline some of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 10 years. Number 1, and as I alluded to already, moving somewhere warmer won't necessarily fix any of your problems or make your life better in any way. Freedom is a mindset, not just a location. So 10 years ago, age 35, I left the UK, headed for South America. I didn't really have a plan, although I knew I wanted to set up a business and live in a place with a great climate, friendly locals, and great energy. After traveling around Latin America for over a year, I found that place, Medellin, Colombia. Once I was set up there, I decided to focus on my health, my wealth, and my happiness. I later realized that happiness as an ideal is unclear and unachievable. So I split that down into environment, inner work, and relationships. Inner work being the most important, as if you don't have that dialed in, then your relationships are going to be terrible. And your environment, although it may help a little bit, won't completely fix your inner world. When I first got to Medellin, I could tell it was the spot. It had such a buzz about it at the time. I could tell it was about to explode as a destination. I was also really happy there. Incredible climate, great people, amazing atmosphere, and I was surrounded by an abundance of beautiful women. I was of the mindset at the time that I should set up a physical business, as that was what I knew. I started real estate investing, property management, and I even opened a hostel. Whilst on the traveling trail, I kept meeting these young people who were making magic internet money. I knew this is what I needed to do so that I could become truly location independent and free to work and travel wherever I wanted to. So I got to work setting up a dropshipping business, an Amazon FBA business, and trading and investing in cryptocurrency. Not to mention various other side hustles and passive income streams. I found it really easy to bury myself in work and exercise, but I was really neglecting the happiness part, specifically the inner work that I desperately needed to do. Even though on the face of it, I had everything I'd ever dreamed of, I still felt this hollow feeling inside, and I didn't know where that was coming from. It was really starting to bug me. I was focused on things that gave me dopamine spikes and chasing short-term gratification, rather than drilling down on the real issues that were keeping me from flourishing. My drinking was a real issue. I didn't want to admit it to anyone else back then, or to myself. And if I'm honest, I feel uncomfortable admitting it to you now. I'd sculpted a personality around being the life and soul of the party, the guy who never wanted the night to end. What I know now, and deep down I knew back then, is that all the alcohol was doing was masking a lot of pain and keeping me comfortably numb, as the song goes. My drinking was not just a social activity or a pastime as I saw it, but it was a necessity, a crutch for life, and a plaster to cover up any uncomfortable feelings that I didn't want to feel. Once I started, there was no off switch. Eventually, I got really sick for a period of time, and I had to stop drinking alcohol, but more on that later. Suffice to say, looking back, I'm glad that happened. I was forced to do the uncomfortable work, sitting with myself and allowing myself to become introspective without anything to take the edge off. During that period, I spent hours, days consuming content, reading books, going to seminars, attending multiple retreats, having months and months of coaching. I even took plant medicine. It's still a work in progress for me, as it is for anyone who's doing this work. But what I can wholeheartedly say is whether I'd moved to Colombia or whether I'd stayed in the UK, I still would have had to do the work. And being in one place or the other would have had no effect whatsoever on the outcome. So if you're thinking of moving abroad because you think it will fix all of your internal world problems, I can promise you that it won't. The good news is, if you want to move abroad to fix the whole host of other issues, like better financial setup, lifestyle upgrade, better dating outcomes, better healthcare, better access to said healthcare, better climate, and so many more things, then that can be very viable. Lesson number 2, you'll never truly be free, but you can choose the rules and regulations under which you abide. As you probably guessed, freedom is very important to me. I came away in search of that. I didn't feel that I was free to be myself or live live the kind of life that I wanted to live in the UK for a host of reasons. But something I realized was that none of us are ever truly free. We just have to choose the rules under which we're willing to live and then pick a place, or perhaps several places, that suit our goals as best as we can. What I didn't expect was how difficult it would be to have total freedom without any structure. It turns out that discipline isn't the opposite of freedom. It's actually what makes freedom possible. Discipline allows freedom in the areas that you want to be free, so you need to start making the right choices, being disciplined enough to stick to them in order to get the kind of freedom that you desire. In my case, for example, I want to be free of mind, financially free to pick and choose where I live, free to move around the world wherever I want to go, free to take part in diverse and exciting activities for as long as I possibly can, and free to have the kind of abundant dating life that I desire. As a result, I've created goals with those outcomes in mind for myself, and I've learned to have the discipline to follow through and make sure that I achieve those goals. I can assure you that that did not come easy for me. A lot of mistakes were made and a lot of hard lessons learned. I realized there are two types of freedom. On the one hand, there will always be rules and regulations wherever you live. You can't change those rules and regulations, but what you can do is pick one place, or maybe even two or three, that best fit the requirements that you have to be able to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself within the limits of what's allowed. The other type of freedom is a lot more malleable. Whilst there are rules and regulations, there are also things that you are told you can and cannot do. I would challenge most of those and say that it's up to you to decide what is and is not possible in your own life. There's a great quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We have so many rules in life about everything. I say break the rules, not the law, but break the rules.
I would wholeheartedly agree with this statement. As someone who's been told many times in my life that I won't be able to achieve something, it always makes me want to prove other people wrong and prove that I can do the thing that I'm told that I can't. Something that gets leveled at me quite a lot is that I'm too old to be doing what I'm doing, or that I should get a proper job. This was especially when I was grinding and trying to become successful. I was 35 when I left the UK, and now I'm 44. And I can honestly say that I'm so blessed to have exactly the life that I wanted to have. It's taken a huge amount of work, but I promise you, if I can do it, then you can do it too. So the fact that I started this journey at 35 and I'm now 44 just goes to show that you're never too old and anything is possible if you put your mind to it. That leads me neatly onto point number 3, which is that you can build any life that you want for yourself. Just be prepared for a bit of a lonely path, at least to start with. I meet so many people who tell me they wish they had a life like mine, and I always tell them the same thing. You absolutely can. All it takes is a bit of pre-planning and then following through on the goals that you set for yourself. You may have to learn a new skill or two along the way, and it may even involve some turmoil and a little bit of upheaval. I can promise you though, it's really worth it. I know this because I've done it, and not only have I done it, but in all of the places where I've lived, I've met countless other people who've also done it. And the interesting thing is they've all done it in a way that's unique to them and is aligned with their personality, goals, and needs. One of the unfortunate things that I learned along the way is that there will always be haters, and often they're people who are closest to you. Could be people you considered good friends or even family members who will not like what you're doing because it challenges their worldview so very deeply. You may have a lot of people leveling things at you like, why don't you get a proper job? You're wasting your life. What are you running from? This can be very frustrating and quite lonely. And for a lot of people, it's advice like this that perhaps even stops them from getting off the ground and actually moving abroad in the first place. Also, people don't like it when someone in their circle does the thing that they told themselves could not be achieved. Your success becomes a mirror to their inaction. Some people do, however, find it inspiring, which is the reason why I've made this channel. Others can't handle it. I've learned to tell the difference quickly, and if I discover that people are the latter, I'm very quick to cut them off. It may be a lonely path at first, but over a short period of time, you will meet people once you move abroad who are like-minded, and then you can start to foster relationships with people on the same wavelength who have a growth mindset also. So on to point number 4. So as the saying goes, a man has many problems until he no longer has his health, and then he only has one. I mentioned earlier that getting sick was what forced me to stop drinking, but I didn't mention how sick I actually got. While I was in Colombia, I got incredibly sick. I saw many doctors and no one could fix me. I went back to the UK and had the same issue. I was getting sicker and sicker and having more and more issues. I had so many issues with my physical health that it started to bleed into my mental health. In hindsight, it's important for me to note that I would not change this part of my life. I'm really glad that it happened because it forced me to actually start doing the work on myself and to quit drinking. I ended up taking matters into my own hands. Unfortunately, I'm from a health background, so I was able to scour through journals, consume content, read books. Unfortunately, in this process, I was able to start to really heal from the inside out. During this time, I discovered functional medicine, a more holistic approach that's focused on the individual. This is very different to the imperfect medical system that we adhere to in the West. The Western style of medicine is very good at fixing you if you have an acute problem that's life-threatening, but it's not so good at fixing you if you have a chronic, that is long-term issue, where the underlying cause is not always apparent and there are multiple symptoms to contend with. What Western medicine tends to do is just throw a load of pharmacology at the symptoms and mask the actual underlying issues. Quite often, once you get to the bottom of what's actually causing your ill health, it can be as simple as lifestyle changes and supplementation that sets you on the road in the healing process. I really did go down every rabbit hole possible, and as a result, I became incredibly proficient in health and wellness. Once I'd actually healed my body, I went even further down another rabbit hole and got very into biohacking. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on biohacking. I tried every treatment possible, and I have to say, I came out the other side and went full circle. And now I just do the basics right. I make sure to take care of my nutrition, my sleep, my stress levels, and my exercise. I still do some of the extras, but I can't see that they add more than an extra 5 or 10%. And quite frankly, they're incredibly expensive, and a lot of them just don't give you that bang for the buck that I require to warrant me spending the money. If you just get the 4 basics right that I mentioned before, then you're doing better than 95% of people. Then you can not only extend your lifespan, but your health span. And the longer that you can stay healthy, the more time you have to enjoy this incredible life that you're going to build for yourself and be able to focus on your life purpose without having to worry about the distraction of your ill health. I hope you found this video useful or perhaps inspiring in some way. I will delve a lot deeper into some of the themes in this video, as well as many others in later videos. I was an ordinary guy living an ordinary life, and I managed to sculpt a life for myself that was extraordinary. If I can do it, I promise you, you can do it too. So if you do like the content and want to hear more, please do like and subscribe. If you are someone who's ready to take the next step in your quest for greater health, wealth, or happiness, or perhaps you're procrastinating on moving abroad, then by all means, please drop me a message. I'd be happy to see if I can help you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.